Hey guys, Saf here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. We have got our first bit of information on the, quote, new clan boss. It's a bit weird. They've kind of given us the skill set before they've actually named the clan boss. I would have done it the other way because when you read these skill sets out, when you see it, it's going to sound a bit stupid. But there we go. We know it's 100% a clan boss because it says it is a new clan boss and it looks like it's going to be a mythical type of clan boss. Now, there's a bit of a disclaimer before we go into this. There was a leaked line of code in the live game client a couple of months back called Chimera. It was just a little localization line, no context, nothing else. But that seemed to suggest to us when they released those achievements that there would be something to do with Chimera, which means that probably what we're facing right now is going to be a Chimera boss. Now, Chimera. What is a Chimera? It is a three-headed creature of mythology. I think one's a goat head, one's a lion head, and one is a snake head. And this is a viper form. So if this is going to be Chimera, as it was suggested, then we are potentially looking at our first mythical boss that can change to 3 forms. This isn't impossible. The way that it's structured right now is you have like technically in the game, every hero is a mythical. It's just that only the mythical champions have more than 1 form. There isn't really a problem that you can't have 3 forms. So it's well within possibility that we're about to see a 3-formed mythical boss. That's kind of the disclaimer. That's not confirmed. That's just my guess based on the information we had and what we've got now. So we've got a boss. It's going to be a clan boss. So there's probably going to be some sort of like working together to hit HP levels. We don't really know the full details of how it's going to work with the clan. This is all we've got so far. And this information is in the mailbox. You might have already seen it. What I'm going to do in this video is I really want to talk about what we're facing and what the possible solutions are going to be for this one head. Is it possible to know what kind of team you're going to need until we know the full details? Is it going to be like Hydra where I can have 6 champions or not? Is it going to be like 5 champions? What are the other forms going to do? And also when we look at this, it doesn't really tell you how it changes form. Is it on a cooldown or not? We'll have to see. So what have we got then? Putrid Fang. This is going to be a rotating affinity boss by the looks of it. Attacks all enemies. If there is any dead enemies, or if the initial attack kills at least 1 enemy, then it will place an extra hit. Now, this is pretty nasty already because extra hit mechanics generally mean that it's going to do double the damage. It doesn't do more damage, it'll probably do double. So this already tells me if I've got a dead enemy, I'm in trouble. Then it also has a 50% chance of placing a Fear, True Fear, Freeze, Provoke, Sleep, Stun, or Petrification on each enemy for 1 turn. Wow, okay. That's on a basic ability. That's on an A1. So that is pretty strong. Now, to be fair, it's not going to be A1ing all the time. It's going to be using its other abilities. And if it is going to change form, how many of these A1s are we going to face? Probably not too many, but pretty nasty. Then we got Stinger Cyclone here. Attacks all enemies. This attack deals single target damage to each target individually rather than AoE. So this is like Thor's A2. It's not coded as AoE, it's coded as single target. And the reason why is because it's going to do Hex, effectively, right? Before attacking, it's going to place Hex debuff, and it has a 100% heal reduction debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. The reason why they're doing it like this is if you were to AoE a Hex target, you only spread 2% of the damage. If you single target damage someone, then the Hex is 10%. So they're doing it to optimize the Hex damage. That's why it's attacking single target. It does mean things like Duchess will not be as valuable here because her passive is only AoE coded. Anything that works for an AoE attack will not work here. That's the thing to note. Any passive that reduces, interacts, or impacts an AoE attack, it's all single target damage. It's going to place Hex before it attacks. So essentially what's going to happen is it's going to Hex you, then it's going to hit one of your enemies. It's going to do 10% to all the others. It's going to hit the second, it's going to do 10%. It's going to hit the third, it's going to do 10%. So it's actually substantial damage. This could really hurt because the Hex component is effectively going to put 40%. Let's assume that you've got 5 people in your team. It's going to do 40% of the 1 hit to every single enemy. So it's a lot. The hit plus 40%. That is a lot of damage. Instantly activates all poison debuffs on the enemy 2 times, so double activation, then transfers all debuffs from the, quote, new clan boss. I don't know why we should have released the name of the clan boss first. Whatever. To all enemies under Hex or heal reduction, and will also increase the new clan boss turn meter for each debuff transferred. Wow. That's a 3-turn cooldown. That is a lot. So we got double poison activation, hex and heal reduction, and a single target damage hit, and we also have a full debuff transfer. That is a lot. I'm already feeling like block debuffs is going to be extremely important here. Haze of Pestilence. This is the third ability. Attacks all enemies. Triple AoE, technically. Before attacking, will steal all the buffs from all the enemies, except for continuous heals. Okay. Places 3 poison debuffs and a poison sensitivity for 3 turns. Then increases the duration. Then activates them. Okay. So, what have we got from these 3 abilities so far? You really cannot afford to take a debuff, because I feel like the damage output from the poison activation and the hex damage is going to do you a lot of harm. So really you're looking for block debuffs, but you need protection. You need a protection set, or you need a protective block debuffs, because otherwise it's just going to rip the thing away and it's going to cause you problems. If you're able to protect your team, then you don't deal with poison activations, doesn't do any damage. You don't have to deal with hex or heal reduction. You won't get the extra damage, and you won't also... It depends whether or not this debuff transfer only counts if he applies the debuff or if he just removes it. If it's just when he removes it, this will still give him turn meter. If it's just when he applies it, then he won't get as much turn meter. I'd imagine it's when he removes it, otherwise it's really broken. And you also don't get debuffed on the A1. So that's, I think, really key. Block debuffs here is going to be super, super important. Then we get the Metamorph. This is how we know it's a mythical. Transforms the new clan boss into the ultimate form and removes all buffs and debuffs. There's no indication of when he's going to do this. It could be AI driven, that he'll go A3, A2, A1 transform. It could be that there is going to be a cooldown and it won't be available for 5 turns. There could be some other mechanic that we don't know about yet that stops it altogether. But it seems to just say that it can transform. We don't know what the ultimate form is either. And I also don't know if that's going to transform the Venom head into the Lion head, or are you fighting all 3 heads at the same time like a snake head, like Hydra? Then we have 3 passives. And what I will say with any boss assessment, when you're kind of looking at how you build a team, or when we're looking at what it could do, passives generally outweigh the actives. And it's because the passives are where we find all the new stuff. When you're trying to fight Amius, it's not his active abilities that you truly care about as much as it's all of his passive stuff that happens, the stuff that happens behind the scenes. And we're going to have a similar thing here. Whenever an enemy is killed, places 1 necrosis. Now, this is a brand new stats effect. I don't know what it does. No information on this. On all other enemies. Necrosis stacks can't be resisted or blocked. Necrosis stacks can only be removed by reviving dead allies. If multiple champions are revived, the number of necrosis stacks removed is equal to the number of champions revived. So long as you don't lose your allies, you never get this. But if someone dies, like we said with the A1, it's a problem. Whatever this does. Don't know what it does right now. Enemy of Mortality. Revived enemies will have 25% less HP and 25% less turn meter. So turn meter wise, if I revive like with Duchess's A3, she doesn't revive with turn meter. I assume it's just going to leave you at 0%. I'm curious to know how it's going to work if I revive someone with 10 or 15% of their HP and then it instantly removes 25%. It could be that it's not additive, that it's actually just multiplicative. So if I revive someone with like 10% HP, I will instead revive them with 7.5%, right? It's multiplying the value. If it's additive, I guess it's just going to leave you on 1 HP. Whenever the new clan boss kills an enemy, removes all block active skills from itself. So you can disable his active ability. You can. Okay. So you can just put block active skills. Doesn't that stop the Metamorph? Maybe that's the whole thing about Metamorph. Maybe you have to bring block active skills. Maybe that's how you stop. But that's a passive, not an active. Interesting. It's weird that you would have the ability to block an active ability. Most of the time they don't allow that, because otherwise you don't have to deal with this, or this, right? You basically, you just get this A1. You just get attacked. So as long as you don't die and you have block debuffs, you don't have to deal with these other 2. Interesting. At the start of the new clan boss's turn, transfers all poison debuffs on the new clan boss to all enemies. All transfer debuffs last for 2 turns. You can't poison this boss. Just don't do it. Poisons do not work. Denies 1 enemy revival attempt. If multiple enemies are revived at once, will deny 1 random revival attempt. Okay, so it'll only stop 1 on an AoE. Fine. Again, both of these only matter if you lose someone. As long as you can keep people alive, and you've got block debuffs so far, I'm not too worried. That's kind of the goal. Keep everyone alive and block debuffs. Then we get a massive wall of text. This is the only problem that I have with the game balance at the moment, is they have to put so many, well, check marks, criterias, right? there's so many different things that they have to account for, otherwise the boss can just be one shot. So this is what this passive here is, to stop the one shot. So he's immune to petrification, stun, freeze, sleep, provoke. So are there any CCs we've not thought about? Sheep, I don't see polymorph. Can you turn the snake head into a sheep? I'm gonna guess no, but it doesn't say it doesn't. I'm gonna guess you cannot do it. Petrification, stun, freeze, sleep, provoke. That's pretty much all the CCs. Block passives, but no block active, so we can put block actives. Fear, true fear. Hunter's gaze, which I'm going to guess is some sort of new status effect that we don't know about. Probably on a champion. Maybe they're going to, release something. I do think the next fusion could be related to this boss. Don't know what this is. And Berserk, that's obviously Zeus's ability. And Enfeeble, which is Marius and Panda. There's no reference for polymorph, but it is stopping all the other crowd control. Stun, sleep, freeze, sleep, provoke, petrification. All the other hard CC is gone. Also immune to HP exchange effects, HP balancing, cooldown increasing effects, turn meter reduction effects, and destroy max HP effects. You can't destroy his max HP, you can't reduce his turn meter, you can slow the turn meter, right? Decrease speed, turn meter reduction. It doesn't say immune to speed effects, right? It just means you can't drop its turn meter. Fine. Also immune to like any sort of active ability cooldown. So you can block the active abilities, you can't put it on cooldown. Okay. Incoming damage inflicted by skills that scale based on the new clan boss, we'll call it Chimera, max HP cannot exceed 100, 120, 140, 160, and there is an Ultra Nightmare difficulty. So that gives us a clue as what we're going to get. It feels like it's more of a traditional clan boss. We got easy, normal, hard, brutal, nightmare, and Ultra Nightmare. Feels like a traditional. And it's basically saying you can't do more than 200,000 to it in one hit. Now, if it's like the clan boss, what this basically means is it sets the value at 200,000, right? The clan boss right now, if you hit it with an enemy max HP, you set it 75,000 base, then you can put crit damage and everything else on top of it. Whereas the passes that we've had previously has almost gone, if you hit more than 10% of the boss's HP, you can't do any more. Now, this sounds more like the clan boss, where it will set the base minimum at 200,000, and then you can apply crit damage on top. I could be wrong. We'll have to see in the game code, but that's how the clan boss works. That's how you can get variability between Acrisias in clan boss, because the more crit damage you put in it, the more damage you're going to do. You just can't do more than 75,000 base. That's the base value you can do. The damage taken from one tick of a poison, 2.5% is 10, 5% is 20,000. So they're normalizing poisons. They're normalizing HP burn at 40,000. If there's 3 heads active at the same time, HP burn is probably going to be more valuable than poison, because if you can do 40, 60, if you do 40,000, then all the other heads are going to take 40,000. It's better than 20,000 on one target. Reflected damage and damage taken from War Master or Giant Slayers cannot exceed 100,000. The damage taken from Smite is also 100, 150, 200, 250, 350,000. So that kind of gives us an idea what kind of HP pool we're looking at here. Okay, so it's a lot. And this is only one form. If it is Chimera, there's 2 other forms, assuming that this ultimate form is not transforming into one of those. If there is an ultimate form to the same head, we could be looking at 6 forms, which I don't think it will be, but it could be. Generally, where am I feeling with this so far? Block debuffs and don't die. If you have block debuffs and you don't die, this boss does nothing. Pretty much. You don't get poisons. He can't steal your buffs if you can protect that block debuffs. He's not going to do anything really problematic to you. He can't put debuffs on you. I'll tell you the champion that right now is coming into my brain. The one that I'm thinking is going to be absolute MVP right now. And it's a champion you can't get anymore. I don't think there are many guaranteed protected block debuffs in the game. One of them is Alatrian Blade Master. Places a block debuffs. If it's a boss, it cannot be stolen. It cannot be removed. It will give you guarantees. I don't think there are any other block debuffs in the game. There's obviously the protection set, 75% chance. It's not guaranteed, but it's a pretty good chance. This, to me, makes him very interesting. He's got a cleanse. He's got a shield, increased defense. He's a very, very good support champion for keeping you alive. You put him in a team, you will probably not die. That's his one advantage. His negative side of him is he doesn't really do much in terms of damage himself. And this A1's a little bit inconsistent because it's only one, like it's not 100%. It's not like it's doing it for all. It does it per target. But this is very strong for this boss. I think anything with a block debuffs is going to be really good. Someone like, Freya's a recent one. Block debuffs, increased turn meter. Anyone who's got a cleanse, our queen from the olden days, Elva, going to be very good if you put her in a protection set, cleanse, block debuffs. I think that type of character is going to be essential. Any champion that can cleanse with the block debuffs is going to be really good. If you do that, this head doesn't really do much. It can't CC you. It can't put poisons on you. It can't transfer debuffs on you. As long as you don't die, it can't do any of its passives. And then it's just a case of he's now a damage bot. So a lot of words to basically describe something I think is very simple at the moment. Very simple at the moment because I think those two things could be solved. The big question for me right now, is this going to be a Hydra style head where I have 3 things I have to deal with in one team? Or is it going to change between the heads when it changes form? That's the way it could be. It could be a 3-headed mythical boss with each individual mythical head changing form, making 6 heads. That to me feels like the complexity they would go with. Because what you got to think is Amius came in and he was a mythical champion with lots and lots of text, right? When we look at Amius, he has got an absolute boatload of text that you have to read through. Very complicated, very, very thing. And this is only a single boss. When we've got Hydra, we've got, potentially 4 different heads we have to deal with, 6 different heads, but we're only fighting 4 at one time. But again, it feels like this. They're going to want to have a boss of similar complexity to Hydra, I think. So I think, based on just this skill set alone, that the clan boss we're going to get is going to be a Chimera. It's going to be a 3-headed boss, and each head is going to be a mythical, and it's going to change form, and we're going to have 6 different versions to protect against. I think that could be what it is. Otherwise, at the moment, it feels very simple. Put a block debuff in and don't die. It seems a bit simple without other things. So we'll have to see what happens. Maybe the other heads can do something through block debuffs. We'll have to see. But yeah, I mean, we're speeding along really, really quickly to this new boss. It won't be long before it's in the game, I think. I would imagine probably in about a week or 2, we're going to see this in. We'll get a What's Next video very soon. It's coming very quickly. And I think it's welcome, to be honest. Since the Hydra changes, I'm looking for, as a sort of later game player, to try something new. I want some new experiences in Raid right now. Cintranos is not doing it for me. Hydra is in a bit of a bad place at the moment. So I'm looking for a new challenge. I'm also looking for something that hopefully, and this is me kind of hoping, that it doesn't have inter-clan competition. I think we've been hard punished recently with Siege, with Hydra Clash, with CVC, with all these things. The clans are being forced to fight other clans, and it's just creating a very negative vibe. I just want a clan boss that I can help my clan and work together with my clan to beat. I just want an inter-clan thing, not a clan versus clan thing. Just let me fight this new boss with my clan members, and that's all I want. Nothing competitive. Let's hope for that, and let's see what else comes out. I'm guessing we might have a new head in a couple of days, maybe even this week. Who knows? Maybe it's tomorrow. We'll have to see what happens, but that is my first take on this head. Block debuffs is going to be king with this new head, and just don't die. We'll have to see what happens, but guys, let me know in the comments below. What is your take on this so far? Anything that I've missed that you think I need to, that I haven't paid attention to? What are you hoping for this new clan boss that we're going to get? And I will catch you guys in the next video.